All right. So, um, I just wanted to go through a few. Hold on, give me a second. Hold on. All right. Basically, I just wanted to go through. Um, this is gonna be something I'm gonna make a tuition on, but it's basically like I haven't back tested what other pairs do this, and I'm pretty Christos. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I ran through this with you. But it's basically essentially it's a bit like market protraction, yeah, whereby at 8 a.m. ish, so right about here. No, I'm not. Good point. Share my screen. Uh, there we go. Alright, cool, boom. So basically, it's a bit like market protraction. Has someone joined the call? No. So whereby at 8 a.m., essentially what you have is like a false move that, I mean, 9 times out of 10, it captures liquidity, but at the same time, it kind of entices like the wrong people to enter in like wrong positions. So what I mean by that is like, so obviously this was hold on, into the night. This was like your Asian session with like low volatility, and literally bang on at 8, you had a spike, and we literally took out this high here, and basically all of uh Asian session sellers. So what we had after that was a nice SC printed here. And then what this is going to do is serve as our new POI. So what you want to do is wait for price to come back into this region before taking a position. Now, this is a part where, like, for example, uh I have people asking me like, oh, someone's joined. So this is let me just quickly go back through that. So normally at 8 a.m. here you have a you have like a false move where like whereby the market will move, take out majority of like the Asian session retail traders, and what happens is the false move. So this here would have enticed buyers, right? And everyone in this sort of region here that bought would have been flushed out, right? So everyone who would have bought here would have been flushed out because they decided to flush the market down this way. So what you do is you like this is like following the narrative, right? This candle here was what initiated this flush to the downside. So this is a sponsored candle. This is the region where price needs to go back to mitigate out of orders. Now, when people ask me like, oh, like I don't know if I should pick the inefficiency or like an SC, look at this inefficiency here. This was tapped perfectly, right? And yeah, you could have taken the trade, but this is what's following the narrative. This is your POI because this is following the narrative. Look, so we move up, we captured the liquidity, and this is the candle where we need to come back to mitigate out of. So even though that inefficiency did work, that just goes to show the logic behind inefficiencies are basically working. But what you tend to see is so like normally, let's just say you took this here, yeah? So you took this off the inefficiency, your you got to sell about here. I mean that's a 14 pip stop, so maybe you would have got a nicer, tighter um stop on that. Look what happens. We come back up and we tap the SC, right? Now that's not where you take the trade off of, because as I said, this is our POI. So when you're asking me, oh, like, what should I take off a inefficiency or the sponsored candle or this lacuna or that, you need to look at what story price is trying to tell you. Because look here, this was at 7. and then 8 was about here. So 8 a.m. we had a false move to the upside just to flush down again. So what you do now is that since we tapped our POI, you look for your entry within here. This is the region where you're trying to like find your optimal points of entry. So what you do, let's just come back. Let's just come back here. Let's go to some of these lower time frames. Right. 3 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute. Can't really see anything. 4 minute. Alright, boom. So I wouldn't really classify this as an SC just because we had some indecision candles after that. But we had an inefficiency fill here. Oh my days, my little brother's screaming. We had an inefficiency fill here, which also lined up with the bottom of this candle. But the thing is, yeah, we didn't have a BOS after this. So after this, we didn't have a BOS. We didn't have a BOS anywhere. Like, we didn't break this, nor did we break anything after that, clearly. So what you do in this situation is you remain patient, right? Because after what happened here, we saw a clear, what's it called? Let me go to the 5 minute. We saw a clear breakup structure to the downside. So like we obviously broke this. Oh, I don't know what the fuck that happened. We broke this and even this here. You could consider this no corporation, but because of all these breaks of structures, I'd be looking to short this. And look at momentum. Look how much effort it's taken price to move upwards and how easily it flushed to the downside. So what you do is now that you have your break of structure and you've got your confirmed move, your whole narrative makes sense now. Let me just delete these. Give me a second. God, come on. Right. So what you do is you wait and you remain patient. And let's just say, for example, this is our new point of interest. You can see that I think we tapped that perfectly. So we might have potentially missed that, but this could have been your entry here. Your stop could have been above here, 3 pips. And then let's just say you're going to ride this down about to this external range liquidity down here, 9%. And if we just play, see what happens here. We tap because I think it was on, we didn't fill that actually. We didn't fill it here. But essentially what happened is we came up, we took out the liquidity that was above this candle here. And then this is about when the New York session was about to start. And then what we saw was flush to the downside. And even if you held, you would have made even more. I mean, up to this point, you would have made 9%. And this would have been 16. I'm going to show you just a quick another example of how this works. Delete everything. Right, so let's go to the 1 minute. Alright, so this was, I'm pretty sure I showed most of you guys this one. But here, look, 8 a.m.'s right here. So let me mark this out for you. 8 a.m. bang on here, right? That's 8:01. Let me just be a bit of a perfectionist. There we go. 8 a.m. false move to the downside to entice sellers, and then what we did, boom, returned against them and flushed them all out, right? So something tells me that Let me just close my Telegram chat. Something tells me that within this candle here, we actually came to mitigate something in the past. So what I like to do is I like to look at the bottom here and trace it back to see what we could have potentially done. So then you come here and you kind of read price action to like understand why we would have came to this point. So looking into this region here, what we actually saw was a break of structure here to the upside. You can see that clearly. We broke past this strong, like we just flew past it. So this I don't have to like explain that. It's a nice BOS here. And what I was actually waiting for was so to explain this better, yeah, let me just go back to that initial what was it? This was a setup I was showing you, yeah, previously. You see how within this candle here, we came to mitigate something. This is on the 15 minutes, so we can obviously go down to all the different time frames, and then we'll start to get more candles within this region here to identify a POI and identify a reason why this would have happened. And you obviously know the SC and the 8 a.m. morning move and everything like that, right? But if we go to the 1 minute here, where was it? I need to get a faster computer. This is a joke. If we go to the 1 minute here, yeah, we can't go. I mean, unless you have the seconds time frame, we can't go any lower than. Oh, give me a sec. We can't go any lower to identify something within this candle here. So what we do is we just mark out the whole candle, except for like from the open of the body to the bottom of the wick. And why we do that is even if we did have the seconds time frame and we like identify a more accurate POI of some sort, this whole region here is only about 2-3 pips, 2.5 pips. So it doesn't matter where the hell you get in within here, because your stop loss is going to be 3-4 pips max anyways. And that's actually why I like blind candles over buying the second time frame, because the second time, like, we already have enough time frames here to deal with, let alone adding like 45 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. Like, I feel like it would just be too much. So I was actually waiting for price to come and tap the open, because as I said, regardless, I would have had a, what is this, 3 pip. Yeah, I was gonna have a 3 pip stop loss, and we actually missed. I actually missed. Oh, I missed entry by 1 pip, like 0.9 pips. I literally missed it, and obviously I didn't trade this because my POI didn't hit. But what I saw after was that since we had our BOS here, that we came and mitigated the top of this candle here, right? And then the top of this candle here was mitigated. Now we're following price's story. And then what we had was the last down candle here. Oh, why is that happening? So the last down candle before our move up. So this was now classed as our SC. So look at the reaction off of this, right? We tapped 3 consecutive bullish candles. That's what confirms our SC. But it's also that we had an inefficiency fill right below that level. And again, this whole thing would have been what, 3 pips. So I was actually waiting for price to come tap that before I was gonna take a position at the open. So now we got time frame confluence that we have an inefficiency fill, a sponsored candle, and we've previously mitigated a blind candle and another candle here. So this was likely to be a highly reactive region. So what I did was wait. And the thing is, yeah, you could have identified, let's just say, this up here. This was a inefficiency fill. You could have taken this, and that would have been you would have taken a good trade because this actually ended up going up like what? It's about 30 pips or so. Like with a small stop loss of like 2-3 pips, you would have made like 15%. But anyways, this actually ended up tapping. We didn't break below the candle, as you can see. So this move here was valid. And I actually didn't take this because I wasn't at home at the time. But I had it marked out, which was kind of annoying because I really wanted to take this. I 3-pip stop loss, and I was targeting this inefficiency up here. It's like a 9% trade. And what's funny is that after we tapped that inefficiency, we actually drowned. We just dived down. And the funny thing here is we actually dived down to hit this candle here, the initial candle we were looking for. And I think we did purge below it. Yeah, we did. So I'm not really sure 100% where we're going to take it from here. So I'm going to wait for tonight's Asian session and tomorrow morning's 8 a.m. move to see what direction this is potentially going to go in, because let's just go to the higher time frame and delete all this. I hope that made sense, by the way. We can obviously clearly see that momentum's to the upside from, even if we say like from here to the top, that's 37 bars, and then from here all the way here is like 60 bars, 62 bars. So momentum's clearly to the upside. So that's why I was looking for long-term buys, short-term sells. Let me just delete these. So what I'm gonna be looking for is where was it? And this has some strong downside momentum. So maybe you got equal lows here. We could potentially come mitigate something within this candle here, down here, before we start to move up. So let me just go back and see if we got anything within there. What time did this happen? 2. So this must have been 8 a.m. around here. So look, 8 a.m. false move to the upside just to flush it down against them. It's quite funny how this works, you know. Let me replay this and let's go straight to the 1 minute and see if we've got any candles. This is a crazy wick. So this is where you kind of use a buying candle, but then again, this entire candle is just a bit too big. So 9 times out of 10, I'll probably wait for price to come within this general region and see how it reacts. But then again, this is quite unpredictable because I didn't really want this here to happen, unless we as I said, if we come and mitigate out of something within maybe something within this candle here, take out this low. That'd be something nice. But to be honest, it's quite hard to decide right now. As I said, you don't really want to be see, this candle here kind of ruins this SC. Let's maybe go to the 1 minute. You don't really want to be predicting, you'd rather be reacting. Where was that? Here. Maybe come here to this candle where we also got, now we feel that inefficiency, but 50% of this candle here also lines up with this SC here. So Now we actually came and tapped that. This is interesting. I want to see how this reacts. But as I said, this doesn't really look like I'd want to be buying against it. I mean, this only is like what this whole thing's like what 6.8 pips, but it's a bit hard to decide right now. But obviously, I'll keep you guys posted with the trade because I've added this Euro GBP to my trading list just because of this whole thing I've been back testing. But I'll be up at like 6, 7 to try catch hopefully a move in the morning, and I'll keep you guys in the loop with that. But I also wanted to go through gold. I don't really trade gold, but um, this was a nice setup. So I'm actually just gonna keep this here. So what we had was our initial POI here, which was this inefficiency, and you can obviously clearly see momentum was like strong to the downside. We were like lagging, slow, sluggish movement back up. We mitigated the inefficiency, and when we came down, we had a break of structure about here. Now, what you do is you wait for price to come back. You follow the narrative. You don't look for this inefficiency here because you know this is your SC. Look at the three bearish candles that followed the SC. So you know that they want to probably come back and mitigate out of this candle, which is literally what happened to the T. So let me delete this and show you that it was literally this candle here, and we came to tap that like so. So what you could have done, oh shit, zoom in to this region here to find a better entry. So let's go back here, let's go to the 5 minute. Okay, 4 minute, 3 minute. Okay, so after we tapped the sponsored candle, what we had was both these lows taken and a BOS to the downside, and we probably had something within here that we came up to mitigate. Price dropped, creating inefficient price action. Let me just delete this red part here. So price dropped, created inefficient price action, and we came up and we mitigate out of the 50% of this inefficiency here. Actually, no, we filled it to the top. So let me just delete this. We came up and we filled this inefficiency. That would have gave you a nice. That would give you a nice. Actually, that was actually prior to the BOS, but that would have given you a nice risk to reward ratio. That would have been a few pips. But anyways, we came down. I mean, sorry. So after this inefficient price action, we stagnated for a bit, then dropped again. Then when this drop happened, we had this inefficiency here printed, and this is where you would have had your prime entry because you got your confirmation from your BOS, you have your mitigation and a nice follow through. So this would have been your prime setup. And you would have taken your position obviously here. And then if you just play this thing just died. And this is gold, so you would have caught some nice pips on this. See, this is quite corrective. I believe we actually dropped. No, I don't really know. But yeah, this was a nice that was a nice setup too. I think Christos, I think you pointed this setup out, or I think it was Rahul, one of you. Besides that, I don't really have much else to show. Yeah, I don't really have much else to show, but all I wanted to really touch up on was to just keep an eye on Euro GBP. These 8 a.m. morning false moves happen all the time. Look at this. This was 8 a.m., right? We had a move to the downside, and you know this move's fake because we had a move back up to take out the majority of the latecomers in this leg here. And you can obviously see that we probably created some inefficient price action, and we filled in that inefficiency and we moved to the downside. And like most of the sharp legs you see would have probably been some sort of like let's just see up here. So 9, where's 8? Oh, that was that one. Let's go to the 15. I already pointed that one out. Let's see what's up here. Alright, so look here, 8 a.m. false move. I mean, I wouldn't really consider this a false move to be honest, because this was following the trend. But anyways, we had a move, then a move back up, mitigated something, and then carried on moving. And then look here, 8 was about here. We kind of moved to the upside, mitigate out of this inefficiency here, and then, I mean, bloody hell, what is this? It's a nice 110 pips. It's basically market protraction, but it's a bit more accurate. You kind of want to pair it up with like different conferences and like pair it up with like all the entry concepts and stuff like that. It will all make sense when I make a video on it, because I've been backtesting this for a while and I've been journaling it, and I'm seeing like a correlation between a few things that you all be taught in the video. There's a few more concepts I'm kind of like working on. But besides that, I don't really have much else to touch on. Unless you guys want me to go through a chart. Let me go through AUD CAD. Right. See, with this, this is a bit of a tough one. Thing is, right, you don't really know when this is gonna. Let me look at the daily. Okay, cool. So we've had a daily break of structure here. So I'd personally wait for retracement into like one of these inefficient price actions. And which one? I don't know. You're gonna have to wait and see. Wait and see which one you get a nice reaction from. Because we could we could do this. We could just come up, right, into this inefficiency and kind of like lag for a bit, then just boom, come up to this one and then drop. Have our break of structure, return into premium, and then have the move. So this is what I mean when I say break of structure is the key. Because without this, you're just gonna be guessing which one's the top. You can be like, oh, this inefficiency, or this one, or this one, or this small one here. You don't know until you have your break of structure, because that's your confirmation. I don't really trade this pair, so I haven't really been following it to understand it all that well. But I'd prefer it if it came up into these inefficiencies up here to this sort of premium market. But how many pips away is this? I think we'll probably see this maybe this week, maybe depending on how crazy the market is. But also remember, just because an inefficiency is it's literally just inefficient price action that needs to be filled in order to continue market direction. But it doesn't say when it needs to be filled. So remember, from here we could just die and then come back a month later and fill this in and decide to move on. So that's why I was saying like you can't exactly predict. So you just need to try your best to react. Besides that, we got a few minutes left. If anyone wants to say anything. I'm gonna drop a tuition video tonight. Basically, I recorded one on following the narrative, so it's kind of touching on what I spoke about on Euro GBP, how I told you guys to why you should have picked the sponsored candle over the inefficiency, and halfway, so it's like a 20-minute video, and like not even halfway, like 7 minutes in, the screen just froze, but the audio carried on, which is like fucking annoying. And that happened twice. So I actually recorded it twice, and it happened on both times. So I'm probably gonna record it again tonight, and I was actually gonna do an accumulation schematic, but I might leave that for next week. And I know I've been asked by a lot of you to drop a video on a schematic, so I'll make sure to, yeah, I'll make sure to include that. I'll hopefully drop that next week. But I wanted to do this following the narrative one because it will answer a lot of your questions. Because people have been asking me like, oh, there's like multiple inefficiencies and like there's a sponsored candle. I don't know what to pick. So I feel like the video will clear up a lot of questions everyone has. Um, Besides that, I don't really have much else to say, except for um, we got some good content coming. Like me and Cav are both working on it. We're both finalizing some details, and you guys should have a lot of good stuff coming in October. Like it will most of the stuff you've been already taught. It's just building your knowledge of like the concepts and stuff. This tuition video that I'll hopefully make tonight, drop tomorrow, will hopefully cover like the ideology and why this works the way it does. And then in October, you'll get a lot of stuff that will just fill in the gaps in your knowledge and hopefully give you confidence to take the trades and stuff like that. Besides that, I don't really have much else to say. So, um, I'm gonna save this recording. Actually, let me stop this recording now.